Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee, Folgers, who've been with us since day one, and we hope we're together until the very end. So a long, happy journey. Also, big thank you to Dr. Snick, aka the Sonic Surgeon, Justin Snicker, who is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. And it can be found anywhere that good music can be found or streamed, of course. So thank you for your generous contribution of your intro and outro. Tonight is going to be a round table discussion. You can catch us, well, you have to get into chat. And tonight we are on, let's start with Facebook, Canada's Most Haunted, Michelle Drochet, Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover, UFO Paranormal, United Public Radio, The Outer Realm, of course, with Amelia and I, news on the flip side. Then we jump over into YouTube, which is The Outer Realm Radio, Michelle DeRoche. So just check, go find us both. You'll find us there. UFO Paranormal Radio and UFO Gods and Extraterrestrial. So that is where you need to be if you want us to see what you're doing. So we see Tamara's here. Hello, Tamara. And I think, Wayne's going to kind of pop in somewhere in there in the show. So we're going to bring him on and he can hang out with the chicks. And
poor guy.
Haunted houses don't deter raccoons. Let me tell you that.
Well, no, obviously, no.
Hey, Carol, all the way from Texas. Holy smokes.
Hello. Howdy. Hi, Wayne.
I love Folgers Coffee in a tent with Hamilton White.
Oh, my gosh. That's the best, though, right?
It was.
That's a second commercial.
Yes. Apparently, it's going to be a thing. Now that I know he's home or going to be home
Tamara.
by next week, I haven't sent him his cups. I have a feeling those.
Oh, I thought you did. I told him.
Wasn't home. No.
Oh.
No, he wasn't
That's
home.
right. He's not home.
So I said, well, you need to let me know when you get home so I can send them. The last time I sent him a package, you got it probably within about 7 to 10 days, I guess. 7 days. That was Priority Express. So these we're going to make sure because I want him and Carl to have it for the next show.
Or you could send him to his mom's house.
Well, they're like together, right?
Oh,
so,
okay.
But
okay.
But he's just like, just wait till I get back. It's like, okay. So we'll
it'll
do
be a
that,
while before they're on anyways. And then they can do their commercials, hopefully without the aluminum beverage. But
wow. It's creative.
I don't know how you drink that stuff cold, but warm. Good Lord Almighty. Hamilton.
Well, if you guys all feel you can be creative with, doing a little 30-second, this one was a bit long.
Hi, Janie.
But if you think you can do a little 30-second Folgers blip, go ahead, send it in. Let us check it out, and we'll air it. Folgers loves that stuff. We'll throw it up there.
Yeah.
Oh, Sharon.
On Kitchener, Ontario, right around the corner.
There we go. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So it worked out tonight because Nick Redfern was supposed to be on. He didn't have any internet in his building, so we're just like also in Texas, Carol. That's where Nick is. And I thought, okay, this is another perfect opportunity because we haven't had as many roundtable shows. I think we only had one other one booked because we're so booked up with guests.
You almost feel they're asking for. No.
You almost feel guilty just having a spare night.
I need a haircut.
You're very low. You're very low.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah. So
can you hear me? Did I just blast your ears? Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, let me try this. How's this?
That's much better because I'm like down on the floor.
Well, I had the
yes, he's booked for August 18th, Tamara. Yeah. Nick is rebooked for August 18th.
Okay, just let me know if that gets too high.
Okay, perfect.
New microphone. You see me on the floor,
kids. We're going back. You'll know.
Yeah. If her ears start to bleed, we won't because it's the same color as her hair. But
I know you won't see it. So
it's a new microphone. It's only the second time, and it hasn't been easy. Just saying.
Oh
Yeti.
Oh my gosh.
Easy.
But you know, we've had some things come up, and it's one of those things that we're like, we'll be talking and something will happen, which is, okay, write that down. We got to talk about that the next time we do a discussion, because we're just like, oh my gosh, some things, you know, we're pretty open-minded about. And I thought I've heard everything, you know, in a couple of decades of being in this field, and then all of a sudden you hear something and you're just like, what the hell was that?
there's been some doozies that require a bit of a delicate response.
Well, yes, and in one of these cases, it has to do with a family we're assisting. So we don't want to, you know, come out and be very obvious about it, but we want to also warn people about scenarios like this as well. So, Bubbles, you want to start?
Oh no, you go ahead. I'm trying to remember which family you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about the one that's more out your neck of the woods.
The one going to see someone.
You need to talk about the flying humanoid, Milton. Well, we'll see what we can do on that. Sure.
We'll see what we're left with. Which one? Start me off.
Well,
because there's a few.
We were asked to assist a young lady.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay,
right, a young lady who started seeing a medium, a life coach. And this was brought to us by, you know, a fellow researcher. We do help a lot of our fellow researchers out, and we're happy to do so. It's actually kind of refreshing when somebody sends someone to you, because they're like, you know, this isn't my thing. This is what I do. This is what my area of study is. I like to go out and do actual field investigations and things like that. And so every now and then you get a real hot one that comes along, and you realize it's an attachment situation in more ways than one. And you take a step back and you're like, you know what, I need to put this off to somebody who I think would be better suited to do it. And I've been doing this for like I said, a couple of decades, but that's my area of study.
Just a few months ago.
Yeah.
That couple decades was not that long ago.
There's no problem.
Yeah. She's only been around a couple decades, so that's impressive from birth.
Yeah. I'm a newbie.
No, I meant an age. You're new.
An age, yeah. Let's go with that. I'm not feeling it right now, but you know, so this came to us through a researcher who recommended us to an associate of his, and it did come to us. And
in time.
I was a little bit. Once the information started coming in, and I started realizing that this individual was dividing this young lady from her family, and she started becoming a recluse in her home and would not leave the home, and had these attachments. And, you know, we pop in to help, and we see the situation, and you realize things aren't always what they seem, because the person whom, you know, she was being mentored by was completely opposite of what most people think. And I have to leave it at that with respects to, that's the only information I'm you know, feeling that we should broach on. But at the end of the day, guys, when hundreds of dollars are being spent and you're not getting any better and you're getting worse, and you're just trying to learn a craft, maybe you want to open up your abilities, you really need to research really hard the people who you are opening yourself up to. Because when you're looking at somebody who's saying, oh, I'm a life coach, and you turn around and they're ass deep, so to speak, in dark arts kind of thing, and they are giving you an attachment to be the rescuer and to charge a lot of money for it. Something is not right with that. I'm just saying.
Let's
hey, Howie.
let's just talk
Hello,
about
Zach
the
man.
three. Hi, Zach. Hi, Howie. Let's just talk about the three red flags right there. Lots and lots of money. No research done on the person, but I have to say, if she had done the research, it would have came up stellar. Yeah,
right.
stellar.
Because
I did my research. I did my research.
Right.
Believe you and me, when I get a case that I hate saying the word case, but when someone comes to us and I feel there's a bit of some criminal issue going here, the first thing I'm going to do is background check that person. So this person's name and business comes up stellar, great reviews, everything. So right there we have to discuss how to go about searching even more. And I've heard this person's name come up and people asking me if I know this person, and I'm like, no, but it just happened that I was asked last week and we worked on this week.
I don't believe in coincidence either, because the same person had an affiliation to friends of mine who are producers and actors in a television show. One of them actually filmed here, and this person, I guess, did an appearance, and all of a sudden it's, I think I've got the bug, So you see how this comes around full circle, because all of a sudden now we've got these connections. So continue. I wanted
to
just show how all of a sudden there are no coincidences.
And even though you're researching, you could still not. I always say you have to find people. If you want to see someone, for me, in my opinion, you should ask people who have gone. And always ask them, who do you go to? How do you feel? Word of mouth, speaking to the clients is the most important thing you can do right after you Google search this person, because they might come up clean like this one. I told you, it's stellar. You see it, it's stellar.
Yeah.
But what we do, we can see behind everything, and it's a little bit different. Enormous amounts of money being invoiced. I'm going to tell you something. Any life coach or medium worth their weight in gold will not take you back that often. They will tell you that you have to wait to come back. A life coach will take you once a month.
It depends on the life coach. Some life coaches will do once a week, depending on the person.
But the money payment is once a month.
If you're not seeing any results and things are going down the toilet fast.
Yeah. But life coaches don't charge you every time you go in. They charge you a monthly fee.
Right.
One that's worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the life coach.
I'm speaking about people who are really, really good at what they do, and that's their business.
I know life coaches who charge by the session.
Maybe because some people don't require it, but with someone like her, where you're continually bringing her back, you're just robbing her now.
Right.
Look for little things like that. Anyone who truly wants to help you on the mediumship side, if you think you have an attachment, is not going to charge you to clear that. That's another red flag. There's so many of them here, but it's easier said after the fact, hindsight 2020, especially if you're Google searching this person and they come up stellar in reviews. You need to ask people that you know are going to groups and see how they feel about this person. And see, really see. I know sometimes we're so desperate because we're in so much pain. We just want to get there. We just want the answers, where we don't want to look at anything else because we just need. It's always I need.
In this case, it's mentorship. It's wanting to develop abilities. And this person was always aware you need to be careful in the paranormal, was already aware that it could go either way. And then all of a sudden you start having attachments. You're like, wait a minute.
Can I just say something?
Yes. No.
I had 7 mentors my life before I met Michelle. Yeah. I never paid anybody.
There you go.
That's all I'm going to say. I've
Yes.
never paid anyone, and I've been mentored, and I'm still being mentored. Michelle mentors me since 2012, and
Mm.
I have yet to pay cent. I've bought gifts and thanked them, but they
Mm.
have never sent me an invoice. That's all
Well,
I'm
I guess
saying.
that
It's
falls
not.
under the life coach
No, it's
part of,
different than a
yeah.
life coach, but I think this person uses life coach so that
That's what I just said.
that
Yeah,
person, yeah,
that's
can
that. It
justify
falls
the
under the
invoice.
life coaching.
Yeah, because a really good life coach,
Mhm.
it sits down with you and works out the best plan.
Mhm.
This is a con. That's
And
what
it's
this is.
sad. It's sad because you have to realize when you're doing things like that to people that eventually you just might meet someone who can change that crap up on your ass. And next
Mm.
thing you know, it's not going to go so well for
No,
you.
because all of a sudden you're living the pain you're tossing, dude. But we
you know,
we we ride white horses here, and we love to go after people like this. Um, I would help this woman for free for the rest of her life if that's what she needed.
yeah.
Um, I don't like what's happening, but even forget the money, forget everything else. Okay, let's talk about the most important part: recluse, attachments. Um, all of a sudden,
Mhm.
stuff is happening, malevolent crap is happening. How did that
Division.
happen?
It's
She
a
didn't have
divide
it
and
before.
conquer. It's a divide and
Yeah,
conquer. It's worse than the entity. Like this person has isolated this individual from her family, telling her bad things about her family.
yeah,
Like you just don't cross that line, especially when you have a family who's trying to help. But it comes down to that. No, you want to divide them because you want them to be dependent on you because then, especially when they're young and naive,
well,
then you've got this
she'll keep paying
control
you.
going on,
Yeah.
you
So
know?
he's a narcissistic con artist.
It's right
All
there.
of them are. Just
I
saying.
know.
All of
I
them are,
know.
you
That's
know.
that's exactly it. And unfortunately, there are more people out there than you think. It
Excuse me,
comes
sorry.
down to people who get taken advantage of, not only in readings, people bringing in, like throughout the many years, I have cleaned up a lot of messes, um, helping people who have brought in investigators who have not only
Yeah.
done nothing for the family, but they've actually made things worse. If it, like with some people, it's like, how does it get worse? But it
Mm,
does because they go in demanding things. I demand that you show yourself. I demand that you do this. Like they're like a bloody circus monkey. Stop it. And if you're not versed in what you're doing, stop it. Just
mm,
stick to the public investigations or go find a location, that's what they specialize in, allowing people to come in and investigate their premises.
yeah. And yet, sometimes you come across a person like this person who may be planting and shifting attachments over to you to keep you
That's right.
within them. So not everybody is there with good intention.
Well, that's just it. If you have somebody who knows how to send you something
Yeah,
and sends you all kinds of things to keep you in terror, so you just keep doling out the cash to get the help. It's
exactly.
just wrong on so many levels. And I really felt it was important that we address that tonight because, and again, I don't ever discuss, people I deal with unless they say, no, we want somebody to learn from this. Most people will always say to me, it's okay because names are never mentioned and you never see things on the websites, anything like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
But they want other people to learn because they don't want other people to go through the same thing.
yeah. And I don't want a defamation lawsuit.
Well, yeah, yeah,
But
not with, yeah.
yeah,
With respects to the individual, I think eventually they become very obvious. But
I think so too. But I think that that person's not the only one out there. So it's better to learn how to look
yeah,
for them than mention
exactly.
a name because that I can guarantee you, not saying it to Michelle, I'm saying to all of you, I can guarantee you this person is not the only one out there. When
Hmm.
you see a life coach and someone who's a practicing medium,
Hmm.
and you see an office and not
Hmm.
using a room in a house, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Just saying.
It's true. It's true.
That's
It's
a red
true.
flag too when they've got
There's
an
a lot of
office.
red flags you can look for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pay
Absolutely.
attention to what's hanging on the walls. Yep. I
Yeah,
said it.
you almost have to be really, really observant for sure.
There's a few things that you can see and notice and you'll pick
Mhm,
up and then realize where
mhm.
you're sitting in that space is not safe.
Well, that's just it. And when you have people who are really out there, um, trying to, when it really becomes about media, I can't speak for everyone else. I can speak for myself. I've never ever chased it. It's come to me. I've remained humbled. For me, it's been a way of people finding me who have needed my assistance. I have people who come up to me and say, "Oh, did you do this show? I saw you in this show." I'm like, "Oh yeah, which one?" Okay. I don't care.
Yeah, I did it because she made me.
Yes, I did. I absolutely did make
Because she
her.
said, Bubbles, you're doing it.
But,
Okay.
but like I've managed to get 6 pages of credits to my name without chasing it and without losing my humbleness about it. Because
Yeah.
when you have people that are just like, well, I'm on this show now, let's do
Yeah, but
this.
that's rare.
I put, yeah,
People
like
like you are rare now.
I don't put, you can look at my profile. I have a few things because it got to the point where people kept saying, "Are you that redhead from those shows?" That's like, all right, I was going to put a couple of the shows up. There you go. But realistically, like 6 pages it goes back. It spans 20 years, and I don't care. I
No.
don't care. It's a matter of so many people have found me that way. So many people who have needed help. And sometimes it is just, can you direct me in the right place to the right
Yeah.
people? Can you just answer some questions? Because I think this is what it is. I spend so much time communicating with people, and people lose sight. They'll do one show, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm the high and mighty, and they forget about the people who put them there.
That's another problem with this one. This one's done a lot of television.
Well, he's done some,
But
not
that
enough.
could be the reason why she felt safe.
Yeah,
Because you think, oh,
I
but
found
he's
that
on
one.
TV. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean anything because producers put people on who can answer their questions. They don't do a background check to see if you've screwed anybody or
No,
if,
they don't.
over for
They
money or you've conned anyone. That's not part of it. They'll
Mhm.
see you in some clip or you send in like a sizzle reel and you go through it and that's it.
Mm.
You get the job and you do the afternoon with them, you do your comments, your taglines, and you go home. They're
Mhm.
not background checking psychics and
I
mediums.
won't say that because a lot of the producers
Well,
I've
this show
worked with,
didn't.
they have they have researched me thoroughly, right down
That's
to the big production companies
that's
who
a
have
different
funded the whole
company.
thing.
Yeah. That's a
Well,
different company.
several companies.
Yeah.
A
No, but
good
I'm saying this
producer,
one's different. That
a good
did this show,
producer
right?
will. But again, if they're coming up with stellar information,
Ah, yes, that's
they're
true.
not going to know. At the end
Yeah,
of the
that's
day,
true.
just because, and I've said this, and it includes me, just because you see someone on television, it does not mean they're the right fit for you.
Oh, we know a couple of idiots on TV that shouldn't be there. I'm just going to tell you, I don't think anybody background check those two. But anyways, yeah,
But always, I agree with Zach, who says never forget your origins, and it's true.
never forget where you come
Always
from and why
remember
you went here, why
somebody
you came.
somebody put you there. You didn't just magically get on a TV show and all of a sudden you're a star. No, people actually have to like you and be interested in you, for
That's
you to
right.
come back. And it doesn't mean, what you see isn't always what you get. I mean, like I
Yep.
always say, people think I run around screaming demon all the time. I don't. I actually give real legitimate answers. It's just the one that they go with all the
It's the
time
one that you're
because it's
hearing.
just scary. I
You
don't
should
know.
hear the lines they
It's
tell you to repeat.
psychokinesis. We don't want to hear psychokinesis, Michelle. What's the other word you use? What word?
I like the
The D
tagline.
word. Say it. No, I don't want to.
See, the demon was, but it wasn't a demon.
You know,
But can you repeat? No,
no, I don't want to repeat it.
no.
But you know what? always look at things with respect to the fact that it's entertainment. So don't be so wowed
Yeah, because
by
we're really
by
concerned.
those types of credentials. Okay,
Yeah.
get real answers. And when you start to feel that something's not right, you need to reach out to somebody who can help you. Don't stay in that situation. There's a lot of people that
No.
can help you out of that. So now that we beat the horse to death, we'll get
Oh,
on to something else.
one more thing. Sorry. If you have someone you love or know that is going through this, ask them the questions. Make sure they're okay. You know, if you
Yeah,
know they're seeing
sometimes they don't
someone,
even
not
see it
just
coming.
because we're saying you, but we'd
Yeah.
like you to make sure that your family and friends are safe as well. If you know someone's seeking out a medium or a life coach, talk to them. And sometimes they can't see the signs and you might be able to catch it.
Mhm. That's it.
So,
Sometimes it's easier looking in the box from outside the box. Just,
yeah,
people don't
instead of
always see when they're actually living it
no,
themselves.
I would take more of a criminal perspective look at it and look at the behavior of this person when they see this person and what they're doing. And
And
what
it's
you
the
might
same.
think is depression can be an attachment. What you might think is an attachment can be depression. We just want to get them the right help.
And
That's
it's
all.
the same thing for investigations. Don't just settle. Do your homework.
Oh my
Unfortunately, now
gosh.
with social media, there's just so many groups out. Some are really great. Others just think it's a matter of just getting some of the basic equipment that you can buy, and you go out and you investigate, and that works great for generic investigations. It just doesn't work if you're dealing with families who really need a problem solved.
Yeah.
So just bear things like that in mind. Okay, we'll get to Zach's comment and then we'll
Oh,
get to the
I
next
need
topic.
one of the two glasses on my head. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Zachman says, I wouldn't be able to be on some of those paranormal TV shows. I'd be the guy telling the production crew, stop making those knocking noises, guys. I'm trying to investigate here.
And there are some that rig things up, let me tell you, and some
Yeah.
of them
A
have
lot
been
of
caught.
times, Darren Evans said to us, what happens is noises will happen because you
Yeah.
drop something or a ladder falls or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the editing will go in later and
Right.
put them in and grab a reaction from a random reaction and just merge it together. It's not always that. It's not like what we think that they're making moves and they're making them. It's not like that. If
Right.
they don't get enough content in that show and they're paid for so many episodes, they have to
Right.
make that content fit. And don't think that none of the shows, I don't know too many, not the shows like where you're commenting, but these hunting shows, these investigative shows, a
Right.
lot of them are edited and edited and edited because they have a contractual obligation.
Right.
So
There we go. So,
remember, it's entertainment.
and
It's not real.
speaking of entertainment, let's get over to Tamara. What did you want to know? The flying humanoid in Milton. I can't even take credit for having a lot of knowledge on that one. That one I saw on one of the TV shows that show YouTube clips, things like that. I don't want to just blapper it off. They want to be promoted. Damn it. Sponsor the show.
Yeah.
But there was a clip and it came in from Milton, Ontario. And it was exactly like what we were talking with Ryan about last night. And it was this witch. It looked like the traditional witch on a freaking broomstick. And it baffles my mind when I see these things because
Yeah, I
they
still call
go
it a hag.
steady, just
Yeah.
like this. And
That
they go
looked
at
like
good
a hag.
pace. Yeah.
There
You know
was
what
no
I mean?
hurry of, someone might see me. Nope. It's just
No, casual, floating by.
Yeah.
I know. So it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is interesting. So
My phone.
obviously there are sightings of these things that go on all over the world. And one just happens to be a little too close for comfort. That's all. And I know. So
Have you seen where we live? That
mhm.
just adds to the circle of death here.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It
That's a
does.
little close for comfort for me. I'm not
Right.
going to lie. That's
I
a little
know.
close
So
for comfort for
it gets
me.
weird. So
Yeah.
tonight we have a little surprise actually. Wayne Mallows is going to be kicking in with us tonight, and yeah, yeah, my
It's gonna be like
bestie, my
being back at
partner
the
in crime.
manor, but sans wine.
We live in this crazy haunted house together, and he's got some really good stories. I think you're talking about there's so many
He's
from
a great
Mexico.
storyteller because he's an author of what? The Vampire Tales Behind Me.
There we go. And yes, Tamara, there are many from Mexico. Mexico can freaking keep them. Just saying. Hello.
They can keep them.
From the next room over.
Hello, brother.
Frozen.
Can you see us?
Frozen.
No, it's just like
There we go.
Hello,
All
everybody.
right. Hello, there we go.
There's a little bit of a delay. I don't know if it's affecting or not, but I can
Well, you're in the back
see
part
you
of the
guys and
house.
hear you guys,
It's
but
just
there's a little bit
further
of
away.
lag.
Yeah, there is. We'll try to bear that in mind.
That's
Where I
okay.
belong,
In the back of the house, you're funny. Yeah. So, we were just talking. So while we're on to like weird creatures and stuff, not even so much weird, but just interdimensional or multi-dimensional. Last night you asked a question to our guest, Ryan, with respects to whether or not they like Australia had any. Oh, there goes this little message from Zach Man for you. There you go. But as to what he thought about vampires being extraterrestrials or are they interdimensional, everybody feel free to chime in on this one, because it is a curiosity as to whether, like, what's your thoughts on that, Wayne, like specifically? Delay. Hello.
I think he's
I
pretending.
got a text you from the
I
know.
knew
Sorry,
it.
there's lag. I'm telling
Was
you.
it, or are you
the lag is
faking it?
brutal. So my thoughts on vampires in general, I think they are real beings.
Oh no, really? Can we just put them next to you?
Yeah, there's so much lag here.
Yeah, you should just sit
There
next to
wasn't lag
Michelle.
when we were testing this earlier, just saying.
Maybe because it was just you two.
What are you saying? Like technology
Oh,
fails when
hi,
I come in the room?
Stacey.
Wayne is in the zone. Yeah, Wayne is definitely in his own zone for sure. But we tested all this earlier and it was actually fine and dandy. So, okay.
Sorry.
So just chime in with respects to your thoughts on what you think they are.
My thoughts on vampires, like I know I've explained this a few times, but I believe that they're a real creature at some point in time, whether they're an alien being or a dimensional being, I don't know. I base it, that whatever culture you go to around the world, they have some sort of a vampire legend, some kind of creature that, only consumes the blood and leaves the flesh, that sort of thing, right? So I always say where you have a story, a tale, there's lore, there might be 1% that is the foundation of where everything just got so much bigger. So yeah, they're definitely out there. They're definitely real.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
I think so. They just had a uniting of the vampires, and there was like all kinds of awards and stuff like that and things given. I just posted it on our Facebook page as well. I don't have my damn phone, so I can't check it. But no, to see what city it was, I think it was Vegas.
Oddly enough.
I think it was. Well, it's a good place to have a convention after a lockdown, right?
Yeah, it is.
You can give me any excuse to go there. I'm there. I love Vegas, but I'm not a gambler.
Well,
if I'm going to drop $1,000, I better get a pair of Christian Louboutins or Jimmy Choos out of that. Yeah, but
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, they had them, and they had different communities and what they were calling covens of vampires, like those who actually partake in the blood drinking and how they do that, and then those who live a different lifestyle, and and then you had the like the cosplay ones with the teeth and And then you had those that actually had dental implants put in to look like things and things like that. And it's, to some of them it's a religion, and to some of them it's just their lifestyle. It's their,
Mhm.
you know,
Absolutely.
I can
it's
relate to their
amazing how
lifestyle. I did
diverse
that for
it.
quite a while.
Yeah, it's amazing how diverse the group is. You can't really just you can't umbrella it. There's so many different ways of life for them as well. It's not like TV.
It goes back though.
Some of them are knights.
It goes back. I mean, people migrated here, you know, to different parts of the world. They come in from old countries. They bring their folklore and their traditions with them. I mentioned one last night. His name was the Count Saint Germain. I just want to. I'll read you this blip. I didn't know all this, and Joe and I are going to eventually cover this stuff on the Gray Zone. So I did have some queued up, but he was actually an alchemist, this Count Saint Germain, and he had discovered the secret. It said he discovered the secret of immortality. So I mean, I don't think it's a traditional got bit and made kind of thing. It said he discovered the secret of immortality, and many agree he was quite accomplished in that field. Records show he was born in the late 1600s, origin unknown. He was allegedly born the son of Rakovsky, the second Prince of Transylvania. A freaking course.
Oh, there you go.
Right?
That makes sense.
There are some who believe that he actually goes back to the time of Christ and even attended the wedding in Cana, where Jesus turned water into wine. This account isn't taken very serious, of course. He was also believed to have been present at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. He's appeared many times throughout history, with the most recent being in the 70s in New Orleans. Always appears as a 45-year-old man. Traveled in very upscale circles in and around 1742 and was known by many famous European figures such as Casanova, Madame de Pompadour, King Louis XV, Catherine the Great, Voltaire, Anton Mesmer, to mention a few. Spoke many languages, very, very, he was very refined. But here's what I also find interesting. He has been linked to many secret societies, such as the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, Illuminati, Order of the Templars, the Knights of Light, and the Society of Assaic Brothers. In 1779, he went to Hamburg, Germany, where he befriended Prince Charles of Hesse-Kassel. He remained there as a guest for 5 years. It goes on. And then he ends up in New Orleans, and I'll just skip to that. 1983, they thought that he surfaced again under a different name, but he said he was set to surface or have at least visited New Orleans in 1902. And then 1983, they figured that was the last sighting of him, and he was dubbed the infamous Louisiana vampire and went by the name Jacques Saint Germain and lived at 1041 Royal Street. Like, I didn't really think there was that much on this guy. So, and not bitten, not made. Alchemist, the secret of immortality. So I don't know. Thoughts? What's his name again? He went. Sorry, the Count. Sorry, Carol. The Count Saint Germain went by Jacques Saint Germain. So.
My thoughts on it. I've only heard bits and pieces like you. I don't know a whole lot about it.
I don't either.
The only story I heard about this fellow was that somebody saw this individual leaning against a very secluded laneway, and they thought he looked out of place. His dress was a little bit, shall we say, outdated for the time period. And this couple went over to talk to him, and he simply looked at them and said, "I'm not here for you tonight. Please go away." And they thought it was such a weird thing for this guy to say, and they kind of walked away, and as they looked over their shoulder, he wasn't there. There's nowhere for him to go. So that was the only story I heard of that guy.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. New Orleans, I mean, there's all kinds of stories of vampires that Joe has spoken on many occasions on vampires. When you wrote book 3, you actually like before we get to this story, because I really want to talk about this story. Just tell everybody about your books and tell them, about the whole how you research the historical fiction, because this story is one of those stories, and I will ask you to tell it once you engage.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. For me, I was looking to write a vampire story. Sorry, it's lag. It takes a while. I wanted to write a
I know
vampire
this
story,
thing.
but I wanted it to be realistic. I wanted it to engage the reader. I wanted them to be pulled right in. What I talk about a fair bit is with any kind of fictional story, you run into a danger of making the character as fantastic as you want to make him or her be. And the danger in doing that is that you can make it unbelievable. They can do anything you want, and then it loses credibility. So the reason I
Mhm.
wrote the vampire as historical fiction is because I wanted it to feel very real. I wanted the people to identify with all the characters of the book, not just the vampire. So I looked for historical events that everybody kind of knew. I kind of explored the different wars and, things like that, looking for something that people would sort of go, yeah, I know a little bit about that. I can kind of relate to that. And I settled in on the murders committed by Jack the Ripper. Because, you'll say, oh, do you know anything about Jack the Ripper? And he goes, oh, some nutter. I think there was in France, or maybe it was England. I don't know. They were killing people. Yeah, it's good enough. That's close enough, right? He was never caught. She was never caught, whatever. So that's what I started. That's where the roots of it came from. So I spent quite a bit of time, months, in fact, researching not just the murders that took place in Whitechapel, because there was many, many murders, but also the weather, things like that. What was going on in the street, what was the news of the time, things like that. So like when I've got a character walking down Lemon Street, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's raining on a Tuesday, it was raining that day. So you can look it up, you can have fun. I've had people read the book and actually take the book with them to Whitechapel, England, and have a wander around. And I've had emails from people saying it's so creepy. Like I'm sitting here looking at page 47 of your book, and I'm looking at the pub, and it's still here, and it's like crazy. How that's so spooky. And that's
And that
exactly what I
that
was looking
beautiful
to do, is to make.
descriptive talent you have, that beautiful descriptive talent, they probably really felt like eerie about it somewhat, right?
Well, they can. It touches you for sure. It gives you
Yeah,
shivers when you walk
it's
down the
cool.
laneways. That's for sure. But I just wanted
Mhm.
it to do that. I wanted people to feel like this guy, this woman, they could be your neighbor. This guy is so easygoing. This woman is so easygoing, very friendly, outgoing, would help you carry your groceries to your door, not kill you. Just a very
Not kill you.
welcoming
Yeah.
home person, just very, very comforting. And
Mm.
he's just got a bad side to them.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that though. Very, very descriptive. I like how you bounce back and forth into time. Now,
Yeah.
book 3, you made mention of a story in the trenches.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
can
Again,
you?
it goes back to the whole idea of trying to tie everything together. Like I
Yes,
don't like loose ends. It bothers me.
right.
So what I did was, again, I'm going back to the idea of reality. So to jump back a bit, so like book 1 happens in the 1800s, right? So then book 2 jumps forward to modern day. So it's in England again, and it happens in modern day. But now we have forensics and we have DNA and all that really cool stuff. And it's still a perplexing investigation to try to figure out what happened to these people. Now, in book 3, you're talking about a situation that happened where in World War I, which is what the sort of storyscape is happening in book 3, my main character decides, well, I've got to figure this out. I've got to end my situation as being a vampire. I don't like it anymore. So he explores all these different avenues of how to get out of it and not, finish up in the damnations of eternal fire, which is what he believes. So anyway, the ticket out is joining the arms and going to World War I and fighting in France, right? That was his ticket out, right? So interestingly enough, when I was researching and poking around for different things, I happened onto some writings of the fellow that did Nosferatu, the original black and white film. And what I found really interesting was the way they based that thing from, I don't know how true it is or how how loosely based it is, but I found it fascinating, is that either the guy that wrote it or his brother, because it was a while ago now, actually served in World War One on the German side, and they were marching through the woods to get to the front lines of wherever they were going, and they weren't going to make it by nightfall. So they happened on this farm, and they went to see the farmer, and they said, okay, like we need to hang out here for a while. Just can we sleep in your barn? And the guy's like, for sure, sleep in the barn. So he gets them in the barn, and he says, when I close the door, put that big bar across the door, right, and keep people out, right? And they laughed at him. They're just like, well, we're totally armed, like we're not worried about people getting in. And he goes, guns won't help you, so just lock the door.
Well, that's an old
And
folklore. Yeah.
what happened that night was the soldiers said that there was things banging on the doors and clawing at the bars or the boards of the barn, trying to get in. And they said it was not human. So that was what that soldier based the story of Nosferatu on, that there was this creature, this entity running around the woods that terrified an entire army group of men that were seasoned fighters to cower in a barn. So in my story, what happens in the trenches is, my main vampire, Aramis, is running across no man's land trying to get from the English side to the German side. And, he gets shot numerous times, but doesn't work. It hurts, but doesn't exactly work. So anyway, he dives over the barbed wire, lands in the trenches, and just starts murdering everybody in the trenches, like throwing bodies right out of the trench, like up you go, bye-bye. And of course the commanding officer on the British side is watching these German soldiers get thrown out of the trench left, right, and center, and he doesn't know what's going on. Long story short, he ends up getting killed with a bayonet. Someone bayonets him, and he falls face first into the mud, and the Germans are abandoning their trenches and running away. Yeah, it's a creepy movie for sure. It's one of the better ones.
My lipstick is named Nosferatu.
One of the things was when the guys were running back towards the British side, they decided that they started shooting them, and they didn't realize they were unarmed, and they finally got 2 or 3 guys to surrender. And when they got a translator, the translator basically said, the young guy said, like, why did you send this demon? Like, why did you send a demon to kill us? Like, why did you do that to us? So fast forward in the story a little bit, and my guy is recovering in the hospital, and the commanding officer from his group comes in to see him at the hospital, basically kicks everybody out of the room and says, okay, so what happened over the trench? He goes, I don't remember. And like, he remembers, but I don't remember anything, what happened over there. He's like, I blacked out. And the commanding officer kind of buys it and goes, yeah, it does happen. So no problem. I just find it really weird what I saw through my binoculars that day. I would like a firsthand account because you were there, but understand that, that happens, right? So he goes to leave, and my guy, my Aramis guy says to the commanding officer, like, how did you know what was going on? He said, well, we captured a few Germans, and they said there was a red-eyed demon over there, and we don't have any red-eyed demons, so I don't know what he was talking about. I thought you could enlighten me. And he said, no, I can't. And he said, what was it? Did you happen to get the name of the fella that spoke to you? And the commanding officer was like, well, why would you ask such a question? He goes, I don't know. It's just, you said he was young. It's just such a shame. All these people die at such a young age. I was just wondering if you got his name. And he says, yeah, I think it was something like, and the name was the guy from Nosferatu, the guy that wrote Nosferatu. So I tied that into the story.
That's a good twist.
Yeah.
That's a good twist.
That was a fun little twist.
For sure. Well, I love it. We can definitely go back, and because you give you an opportunity to show everybody the books and how to get them.
I was going to just grab them for you if you want. I have them nearby.
Yeah, I only have 2 of them here. Like the rest are all in storage.
I'll get them. I just got to put the camera down for when I get up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay.
Give me 1 second.
And so we'll do that. And then we can also talk about what it's like. We'll just move over a little bit. We're bouncing back because it is roundtable. So we're going to talk a little bit about this house and the experiences that have
What,
happened
like
here.
raccoons and plumbing and hydro, that sort of thing?
No, not that kind of
Oh, okay.
experiences. The
Okay, just checking.
raccoons could be,
Yeah.
knocking around and stuff. That could be kind of weak if you.
Like
if
I'm
you-
coughing right now because I've got, even with a mask on, I've still got insulation and dust in my throat from being up in the attic.
Right.
But yeah,
Bubbles
it's
are showing.
the house.
Okay.
I bought the house in 2009,
Right.
and it was I bought it because it was haunted, So
Right.
oh, put that one away. That's an old dirty one. Good.
That's
I
an old-
like this.
No, that
That's
was
the old
terrible.
dirty one. Yes.
That
That's
one was
funny.
that one was edited
The-
6 times, and it's like it's.
The other one is in my nightstand. I just realized when I went to go get these.
Do you have a copy of the first one with you there, Wayne?
Yeah,
I
do,
can
yeah.
go get it.
Okay.
No, don't worry
she's,
about it. I got it right
she's
here.
got it right here.
It's
Right,
in
got
my
it.
nightstand because I'm reading
Book
it.
two. Book 2.
Can you see it, or I can't
Yeah,
even?
no, we
I
can
don't want
see
to
it.
get the glare of the ring light.
Nope, that's book 2.
Yeah,
Mary,
it's right there.
Mary,
Yeah, Mary.
Okay, yeah.
and then we got.
So that's the
three.
new
so-
book one. Back it up
Ah,
a
see
bit,
it,
Wayne.
guys.
Oh yes, it's
That's
on my.
that's the
There
new
we
one
go.
right there.
It's on
Whitechapel
my
Road.
nightstand.
Yeah.
And that's the pub that they all hung out in, right? So that pub is no longer
Yeah.
there, but the building
Yeah.
that's just on the front of it there is still there. Used to be a convent,
Yeah.
and now it's a hostel. You can actually stay there if you wanted to.
And this is my favorite
Mine too.
so far.
Yeah.
I started
Dark
with this
origami.
one. That's
Yeah,
that's
little
what
bit,
origami.
little bit. One of my little consultation pieces.
Yeah, see, I'm
A lot of
spoiled. See,
consultation.
I'm spoiled.
Yeah, I did a lot of consultation on that one. It's definitely very
Wayne
near and dear.
spoils me, but I do
Yeah.
the other one. I forgot it's in my nightstand because I read it. So
How far
I have
along
to
are you?
start. I don't know. I have to check. I'm pretty close to the middle, so I have to check
So
there.
page 2.
How can I be on page 2 if the last time you asked me I was like 50 something?
There'll be a quiz
No,
at
no,
the
no.
end.
I'm really close. I love it. I have a hard time
Well, if it's
putting
only
it
4
down.
pages long. Come on now.
No, it's what is it, like 400 600 pages? You made it bigger. It's a lot bigger than this one.
Mm.
They're all like that, but they're so
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you don't have like 6 different editors. Change it all. The first book, the one you first one held up, I called it.
Yeah,
It was
I
like reader
didn't-
interactive. Because you could put
I
anything you
didn't
wanted in
read
there.
this because
Like I had a
you
sentence
told
that
me not
ended
to.
with a period. There was
Yeah,
nothing
you
at
told
the
me
end of
not to. But the last book
Terrible.
that I read first was so hard to put down. And I had a really busy life and I was finding time to read it. Like it was ridiculous. Like I would go to bed at all crazy hours because I was just like, and then when it finished, I cried. And it's not the story sad. That's the last one. So it's just like, okay, I can't text him because he's sleeping because it's like, fucking. So I waited and then I'm like, so Wayne, you going to write 5? You going to, like, what are you doing? You can't leave us here. Did I put you on a spot?
Yeah,
Literally.
once I get out of this place, then I'm going to probably write a little bit more. But there was a
Good,
lot of
I'm
haunted
glad.
experiences in this house. Like I said, I bought it because it was haunted. I first got
Yeah.
a look at it looking at another house, and I got shown this house, and I really fell in love with it. And there was, the way I described it is, if you've ever been into an old attic in the summertime and it's really warm, that smell that's up there of the dust, I call it smelling old. It just smells old. And that smell followed me around the entire house. And I got a feeling of that it was an older woman that was there. And she was actually sad when every time I left, I've got this feeling that she was sad. So
Yeah.
I guess that would have been my very first sort of like awareness or experience of it. But the first real experience that I had in a house was working up on a ladder. And years before, someone had told me I was going to buy a place, near water, and there was going to be a treasure in the house. And this person cautioned me and said, the treasure could just be a little boy's toy truck, because it's treasure to him. Gold, right?
Mhm.
So I was up on this ladder. I was about 15 or 16 feet up. And I thought, I wonder what they were talking about. I wonder what the treasure is, And like in my right ear, this female male voice in kind of a British Irish. And it was so realistic.
Uh-oh. Hi, Michael.
Hi,
He's
Michael.
coming in and out. I just took, since he's gone for this second, I hope he comes back even sooner. I went to go look to see where it was. Vegas was not it, Amelia. It was London. It was England, Whitby gathering.
Yeah, I know that was a Dacre Stoker.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I didn't know Dacre
Yeah.
was there, but this
Yes.
was the event that I posted.
Yeah,
and it was to
he's-
mark the 125 years since.
That's right. Yeah, he'll talk
Dracula
about that
was
when he comes on in a couple months, which would be
Yeah.
nice.
So if you guys are interested, it's up on our group page. You'll see the group that got together and the castle behind them. It's beautiful.
Okay, so you're back.
Are we back? Yes. Okay.
So let's continue on.
I'm here.
Up on the ladder.
All right.
Heard a voice.
Yeah, up on the ladder, I heard the voice. I don't know how much you heard, but I heard a voice, and she said the house is the treasure. And
Right.
it was very realistic. I actually turned my head to look and see who it was, but there was no one there. That was sort of the first real kind of audible, ghostly encounter that happened. The house gives up its voice a lot. You hear so much in this house. Voices, footsteps, doors,
Cats.
opening and closing, things like that. We've had lights go on and off when nobody's here. The worst one I had was waking up at 3 a.m. It was actually 3:33. I woke up in my bed with a cat that I had at the time, and he had no voice, and he was at the end of the bed screaming. So that was a shock to me that he could even make a noise. And when I looked at him, I went to comfort him and realized I couldn't move. And I thought, logically, like I've got, sleep paralysis because I woke up so quick I can't move. And that pretty much faded away fast when I still couldn't move. And I had my first experience of looking over and seeing that shadow that's darker than dark, which I used to laugh at. But yeah, there is a thing. It filled up the whole corner of the room, and this house has got 10-foot ceilings. So when it fills the room, it fills the room. So I finally was able to, force myself up with some foul language, and was able to get the cat out, and we went to the kitchen and sort of stood there for a minute, and he was kind of looking into the room, like growling and snarling and carrying on. And so I walked back in the room to try to sort of take stock of the situation. And as I walked around, I was just sort of saying, whatever's here, you're not welcome. You have to go. You weren't invited. Get out. This is my sanctuary. This is my paradise. You leave now. You're not welcome, kind of thing, right? And as I walked around the room, I have this canopy bed, and it goes up pretty high, and there's crown moldings all around it. And we have some pretty big moths and butterflies here. I mean, they're large. They're like this big, right? And certain times of the year. This was November. I thought, well, it could be a moth. But I looked up on the crown molding because something caught me out of the peripheral. And I looked up at the crown molding. If you could picture the size of like a grapefruit, grapefruit. And there was 2 of those on the crown moldings. And that's what I thought was the moth. And then all of a sudden, the 2 little grapefruits, they blinked, and they had little black slits for eyes, and they blinked. I was so scared because I thought this thing can actually see me. Like, oh my God, what is this thing? Right. And I remember looking at it and just screaming at the top of my lungs, like, get out, like just at the top of my lungs. And it disappeared. Back then, Michelle was living far away. And she always said, like, if you ever have a problem at the house, don't hesitate to call. My phone's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for my clients. And I don't want you ever, feeling alone. I'm like, okay, good. Pick up the phone, and I'm literally like trying to text, right? Because it's shattered. And, text went through, and, nothing happened. And so I text again. I text a few more times, and I'm like, screw it. I grabbed the cat, and I went into the parlor, and I sat down in one of the chairs, put the lights on, and put the cat on my lap. I had a cup of tea sitting there, and I thought, I'm going to call you. You're going to hate me, but I'm going to call you. Phone is always on, and I get, hi, you've reached the voicemail. I can't take the call right now. Like, I pick up the phone. I'm dying.
How do you sound like that?
Say it like that.
Anyway, she called me at 7:30 in the morning. What? Yes, you do. Your voicemail sound like that back then. But anyway, you called me at 7:30 in the morning telling me that like 7 of my texts came in, and all my phone messages came in. They all came in together, like all at once. So all my efforts to try to get help were thwarted by this individual thing, whatever it was. But she came over that same day and took care of business hands on. So that was
Yeah.
the be all end all. But yeah, we've had a lot of experiences here. Amazing stuff.
This house absolutely is interesting for sure. We've often been asked a lot of like often about activity here. I remember coming in on a couple of occasions before living here, and one time standing in the dining room. At the time, there was a door that was on the dining room door, and it just swung right open. And I remember Rob was here. We just looked at each other, and went. Nobody said anything. We're like, whatever. Other times, just coming into the front door, and I remember a voice of an older man standing at the bottom of the stairs, going, "Well, hello there." I'm like, Wayne, where are you? This is just like, this is weird. Okay. But,
Yeah, but has anyone seen a cat you don't own?
yeah, there's
Was on the
been,
picture as
he
well.
actually had
At
an
night?
experience just a few days ago.
With a cat inside?
Yeah.
Was it black?
I don't know. Wayne, what was the experience? It brushed up against you?
Brushed up against you. I saw it
Yeah.
leap in the hallway
Yeah,
over the
I was
table, and I go,
washing the
look how
dishes,
cute
and
the
the
cat's
cat
trying to
rubbed
get
around the back of my calves.
A couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
we went by once one way and then once back the other way. It was so real. I thought one of the dogs had got out and was like, pestering for food. But it
Yeah.
was actually, I looked
my
down, there's
dogs don't
nothing there.
pester for food.
No, you starve
That's
them. What are you
freaky.
talking about? Yes, they do. You starve them.
Yeah. Brats. But no, there's a lot of things. And we also have had AT experiences here as well. So everybody knows about my experiences.
Yeah, we starve them. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
talk about some of your experiences. You've had times where you've woken up and something was like you could see it gray at the end of the bed and grabbing your feet or something. I don't even recall what the story was.
Experiences with the tea.
Sorry.
That's exactly it. Like I woke up and it felt like I got stung on my toe. And when I looked down, like, my feet are under the blankets, and I looked down, and there was this little head at the end of the bed just peeking over top of the footboard. And it was, for lack of a better description, was a gray. And it looked at me and I looked at it, but the harder I tried to focus on it, the more unfocused it got. It was kind of like it worked in reverse. It was so bizarre. Then there was another time where, I was laying on my side, and I kind of I was in my mind's eye, and I watched this thing in my mind's eye come walking right in the room. And it was really short. It was about 3 feet. Its head just came up to the edge of the mattress, because I got one of those really tall beds, tall mattresses. And in my mind's eye, I could see it. I felt very comfortable with it. And I kind of smiled, like in real time. And in my mind's eye, it smiled back. And all I said is, are we going to the stars tonight? And it smiled again. And that was the last I remember of it. So I was floating up to the stars. And as I got higher and higher up, and I'm terrified of heights, and I don't like floaty feelings at all. And I felt very comfortable. I realized the stars weren't actually the stars. It was a great big rectangular ship, and those stars were lights. It was so amazing. It was like the most amazing experience ever.
Yeah.
So there's no chance of getting you to do the CN Tower skywalk with me.
No.
Well, that sucks. I need 6 people. There's only 2 of us so far.
Here's a comment. Let me see it.
Summer says, my family doesn't have much with ghosts, but fae are a whole different story, especially around the woods.
Where are you located, Summer?
Where are you located, and what is your background? I'm wondering if it's a family thing, because she said family. I'm wondering if it's generational.
Yeah.
Hi, Michael. Poor Michael's clicked twice, and we haven't said anything to him.
I said hello to Michael.
Oh, I did too, but he didn't. I don't think he heard me.
Absolutely.
Zachman says, never seen a gray. My encounters were both with Nordic beings. Well, that's pretty
I've
cool.
never seen any aliens at all until the last 2 years. I've been completely void of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely been. You were sitting here that
Oklahoma,
day,
and they were
where
Irish.
Something came. Oh, Oklahoma. Hold on.
And they were Irish.
And
that makes total sense.
Yes.
That's why I needed to ask. Yeah.
Total sense with Irish.
Yes. that day that something went through the house, you were sitting at the dining room table, I think. And what was it from your angle? Because that's the day like something hit the neighbor's house. And totally most obscure thing ever.
Oh yeah,
and,
it was wild.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you froze. I was waiting for you to finish, but the
You
picture just stopped
froze.
You
moving and you
froze.
stopped talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
you
sitting at the
froze.
dining room table, and the windows on the right to me just started vibrating. It was just like as if someone threw a snowball at the window. There was like a
Right.
boom, and then the panes of glass kind of went, and then I kind of looked to my right where that happened, and a second later, all the windows which are in your computer room, your studio
Wow,
room,
this is
which is
actually the
directly
medieval
opposite the
room.
dining room, that
Yes.
way, yeah.
Yes.
So those
In case
windows
nobody can tell.
vibrated, and I thought, well, that must
Yeah.
be some big truck or something going by to make the whole house shake.
Yeah. But it was something that came through the dining room window and went out the other window. So those windows shook, and then it's like a
That was because she
vibration
was
went
away
through.
on
Right. Sorry, could we keep losing you? And it went out the other window. And what we found out later that night, because Amelia and I were at the radio station where we were doing the show, and at that point, you got called, and it looks like somebody tried to avoid something. A car tried to avoid something and hit the neighbor's house.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a
Like,
huge
we mean
intersection.
hit, like,
Yeah, it's such a huge intersection.
Yeah, they went right into the kitchen. The whole front of
Yeah.
the car was right into the kitchen. It knocked the counters off and blew out, and there was water all over the floors in the basement.
Everywhere.
The basement was flooded. It was a disaster.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that was like literally the same day that thing came through our house.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, was it a car?
So
Oh, Summer says
or
Wayne.
what did the car avoid?
Ah,
Right. So Wayne, how is a 7-foot mirror?
how heavy?
How heavy is it? The 7-foot mirror. Yeah. He's got a lag. It'll take him a minute.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He's literally behind you.
how heavy is the stuff?
You know, our 7-foot mirrors.
Might need to bring Wayne right next to you.
It's heavy. It's
heavy. It took.
You're killing me.
This is like sitting at the dining room.
3 of us to lift it and get it into the truck.
It took how many? 2, 3, 4?
150 pounds. It took 3 of us to lift it.
3 of us to lift it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a beautiful mirror. I don't have a photo of it, unfortunately. Well, I do, but not one I could put up. It's beautiful, though. Yeah, I see you, man, but it's just like one of these. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want me to come and sit beside you?
Yes.
Do you want me to sit beside you?
Yes.
So what do you want?
Okay. We're gonna do it.
Can you
that
bounce
way.
your head any?
I don't even know, but it would probably be easier. I don't know if
You can
he's
share
gonna
your
be-
earbuds, right, with him? Is
Oh,
it
yeah, I
long
guess
enough?
We're gonna have to do something, won't we?
The
That's
microphone,
awkward.
okay, it can do both of you, but
Mm.
you might want to change your setting on the back to the infinity for your microphone, your infinity, so you get
No,
both
I'm already
voices.
I'm already through my microphone. It's already
Okay.
through there. Okay. Why don't you? Yeah, just take this down. Yeah.
Move that.
Okay.
I think that would be easier.
Okay, there we go. Oh, my word. Okay.
That is too funny.
Okay. So I'm going to
Just
share
if he sits down
an
with
earbud.
you.
Woo!
Okay, this
All right, go ahead.
okay.
I'm here.
All right. Can you get closer?
Come a little bit closer.
Okay,
My
whatever.
pen
There we
sheet.
go. Okay.
There.
All right. There we
There
go.
we go. That's so much better.
Is it?
Yeah,
It's
because
a
you
thick one.
sound really, really good.
Wouldn't go in my ear.
I'm sorry, there's a lag. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, there's a lag now. Hello.
That's better.
Much
There you go.
better.
There
We
you
can
go.
really
Yeah.
see. We can really see Wayne now.
I'm so far in the back. I'm like miles away, and then the internet down there is just horrible. Every once in a while, I get out.
I just thought it'd be nice if they have like the, the nice big chair.
And how's that working for you?
Why?
I feel like all we're missing is shortbread cookies and wine.
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah, but
When
I
are you coming
can't.
over?
I hopefully soon.
Yeah, I
Hopefully
understand that.
soon. I
Yeah.
hope so. I'm hoping once. I don't want to be around anyone till my cough is gone because I'm so scared. We don't know anything anymore, you
No.
know.
Yeah,
So I'm
Why-
so scared, and I don't want to give it to anybody.
Hey, you know what I just realized too? Was that the bedroom that I had that encounter in is actually this room.
Oh,
This
that's
was-
right.
This room
Maybe
was
that's-
the bedroom.
At one time.
Maybe
where
that's why it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
But why
why.
don't you talk about your experience first time you came here?
Me?
Yeah.
No, the other you.
Yeah. Talk about what
The
you
other
you can even
Wayne, the
talk about.
squirrel.
You can even talk about what you saw when you first walked up, because there's a lot of interdimensional beings that we're talking about here. So right, so you
Big-
can.
First of all, I can tell you this, and I don't know if everybody will understand this, but people in paranormals are going to understand this. When you walk up to the manor, the first sense you get, for me, I felt like I was home. Some people are afraid. The Amazon guy doesn't leave anything.
No, he
too
won't.
close
He will
to the
not
door.
leave anything here. At all.
No, he's scared.
Yeah. He is. He is.
I never felt afraid. My first experience when I walked up the walkway to the front door in the vestibule was the house breathes. I'm just like, this house is alive, and I don't know how to. And I was trying to explain it because Eric, my best friend, was with
Yeah,
me, and
Because didn't you see
Nancy.
something on the roof when you came in?
I don't remember
You have to
that.
squeeze past a gargoyle or something. He was a
Yeah,
big
you
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
You're like what? Yeah.
Yeah. I did see gargs. I thought at first it was like some concrete, like kind of stuff. It was really cool. You got those gargs up there, and just like, what gargs? What do you mean?
I know, really. What?
Gargs.
We have
But
gargoyles?
yeah,
Yes.
my vision is just different coming in. But the funniest thing was Wayne had a mannequin
It's
in the
Molly.
parlor,
She's still
parlor
here.
over
and
there.
that's
She's
what
here.
scared the crap out of me when I walked in. I saw it and I just I startle so easily. It's not funny,
No.
but I that scared the crap out of me. Not Margaret, not any spirits that I could see. The black cat I thought was real. We were at the table and we're having pizza and we're talking and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, you have a cat? That's so cute. Tried to jump up on the table like to grab food kind of thing, like leaped. We don't have a cat. What do you mean you don't have a cat? What are you saying? I'm like,
No.
no,
Chihuahua's
no,
little
no.
short legs would never make it.
Yeah. So and it was really weird feeling because we were doing this session with the box and I've never done anything like that. And it was so strange because Michelle's like, oh, we'll call this person and call that. I'm like, what? No.
That was fun though.
It was a lot of fun. I've never had that experience. I have never had a lot of learning experiences that I have with these two. But it definitely felt like home and felt like family. I could see the Victorian era. I know nothing about this manor. I know nothing about who lived there. I don't even know. I didn't even pay attention to the street because we were following you. And actually, Eric was driving my truck.
Mhm.
So I didn't pay attention to anything. So nothing rang to me, but everything happened.
Mhm.
I couldn't believe the experiences and how much was happening, like how much I could feel. And I could feel the tension of something under us. At the time we had
Mm.
the one spirit in the basement.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why he was like behind bars.
Mhm.
I remember that. And it
Yeah.
actually made me a little uncomfortable to use the bathroom on the main floor.
Yeah, it's pretty
because of
aggressive.
that, because it was
Yeah.
under, that was,
Yeah.
I remember that, not understanding what that was.
Well, where
'Cause
the
it-
bathroom was, or where it is now, that's actually right underneath that was the stairs that went down to the basement from the outside. That were the storm stairs. That's how you got down there.
That's another thing that was so confusing to me as we're going upstairs. And Michelle and Wayne were gracious enough to show us around, which we didn't expect. We didn't even expect all of this. It was just incredible.
The house is just it's just so unique. We like to make sure
It's
people can see it.
beautiful. We get upstairs and we won't talk about the black mirror. Then I'm constantly thinking the stairs, we're not on the stairs. Why are we walking upstairs? It constantly felt off to me in that sense, off kilter, like the staircase wasn't there. Like there's staircases that have been moved. I could see other staircases as we were going, but I didn't learn any of that till later on. It was it's a feeling of warmth and love though in there. It feels like home. It's peaceful for me anyways.
It is now.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that, but I felt safe. I did feel safe even though I knew something darker was under there. I felt safe. I knew you had it under control kind of thing. It was like that. I wasn't expecting to be there. So it everything was just it was an overwhelming sense load for a medium to walk into that home. Like,
you're not the first person who said it, because we have filmed a couple of seasons of Paranormal Survivor here, My Paranormal Nightmare. We had something filmed here. We've had a lot of paranormal shows that have filmed here, and there have been unbelievable experiences. We had one show here. The spirits were so excited to have them here. Coins were falling from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And when they went out to eat, there was so much activity upstairs. Like we could hear all this walking around and thumping around. And we thought somebody stayed behind and didn't go to dinner. And we went upstairs. It was like nobody here. We're just like,
they're all nickels too. Like they're all the same denomination. They were all nickels.
All nickels, which was weird.
That's really strange, right?
And they were all from different years. They weren't like really old. They weren't really new. They were just random.
But through the
if
ceiling,
you find a 1969 dime with the long print, it's actually worth 100,000. So start searching.
Yeah, I'm not gonna find that.
Oh,
yeah, but it's just interesting though, because they were filming and all of a sudden something dropped beside them, and they were like,
well, they'd actually see it on the film. It went right between the two guys that were talking. They were like Michelle and I, and they were talking about the hallway.
I went right in.
And you see it drop right between them on the night vision.
That's really
and they were actually
cool.
annoyed. They're just like, what's making that noise? And they thought the camera guy was making noise and stuff. It wasn't, they didn't realize it went right between the two of them.
Yeah. It was amazing too, because it's all decorated in that era and earlier. And when you're walking through it, it's a surreal feeling because you're walking through medieval.
Yeah, there's no Victorian stuff here anymore. It's all medieval. Yeah,
no, it's all medieval. So that gives you it creates.
Parlor's all.
Well,
the
it
parlor's
is
Victorian,
but it's
and
got,
you had the big giant.
No, I'm talking about like the house itself, not the.
The house itself. Yeah, we're talking about the furniture.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even when I came over, it was different the first time. Michelle
Always
changes
different.
everything. Yeah, she changes everything.
Different.
But
we
you had
film
the
here,
giant,
so it's changed a lot. Magazine shoots have happened here, so we've had people asked to get married here, which
that's a little weird. But you had that large crystal ball with the really pretty lace over, and that was on the table in the front, and that caught my eye right away after the mannequin. Thanks, Wayne. Red-headed mannequin. You walk in and it's like
but you gotta understand, you gotta remember, right, Amelia, like I used to make haunted houses, right? I used to build haunted houses for theme parks and things like that.
I could have taken the heads up before I walked in.
But that would ruin everything. This used to be a bed and breakfast. I'd have her leaning against the fireplace with a glass of wine, and people would walk in. They wouldn't even notice her at first. And like 20 minutes later, they'd be like, it was
I saw her right away. I'm like, what the?
I know.
I saw that right away. But it's funny because Wayne will play tricks on you, so you have to pay attention. We're
No,
getting
it
ready to
doesn't.
leave. Yes, we're getting ready to leave. But this one was hilarious because we are so used to Wayne doing things that sometimes we just look at him and go, okay, and continue talking. Well, you had a mask or something on and you were trying to startle me at the doorway. You came in from the kitchen. I can't remember what the mask was of. And Michelle and I just continued talking like nothing. And you were so
I'm used to it.
He's like, I can't believe you didn't startle you. I'm like,
whatever.
startle me. You wear them every time.
I
Yeah,
know.
I've got wolf masks and things.
Yeah, you had
puppets and all
something
kinds of
on and
stuff,
you're
but
like,
yeah.
why aren't you freaking out?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
How it
yeah, at one point too, when I was sitting at the table and after we had eaten, for some reason, I saw something go up like this. And I thought, we don't have a tablecloth on the table. Why is it blowing up?
There have been
Yeah,
times,
there was a few things.
there have been times here where the house sat empty for literally like a month at a time, a couple of months at a time,
Yeah.
because everything was happening at the other house. And we have security cameras here, and all of this stuff would just keep happening. And we get orbs and stuff like that. I don't, as you know, I'm really funky with them, but there's no forced air in the house. Nobody was here to walk around. There was nothing.
No animals either.
No animals, nothing. And you would see these big orbs with faces, and they would go up and they'd go into the chandelier. They would come out of one mirror. They would go into another mirror. They would come out of this room. And you'd see the camera catch it all the way going into the parlor. And the one night was
the New Year's Eve.
It was a
one
New
is-
Year's
yeah.
Eve one, and she used to have. This house was built for the lady of the house, and she would entertain in. This is why she had the house. It was for entertainment. She'd have garden parties, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, she still does.
she
She still does.
still does.
Yeah.
And it was like there was so much activity. And I mean, there was orbs and stuff that went on for 6 straight hours. Big, sometimes 2 at a time. Nobody in the house. And let me tell you something. After the midnight mark, this started at about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
After the midnight hour, so it went on for about probably more like 6 or 7 hours. Then all of a sudden, everything stopped.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There was nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
It was like they were getting ready for the party, and then the party ended at midnight, and they all went outside or something.
Yeah.
I know with the 3
Good night,
friends that
Justin.
I had brought, they all were touched that night. They were touched either on their arm or their hand. Nadine was touched on her leg, and I believe Nancy Ashworth had like something up her spine or something. Me, every time I sit there, I'm always touched on my knee.
Mhm.
I always get this little,
Right.
and I honestly feel like it's just Margaret going, okay, I'm I see you here, and that
Yeah.
was long before we started doing things in there. Do you still see the ghost cat?
Well, he just had an experience a week ago, a few days ago.
Yeah, I rubbed it against my back on the calves. I was washing dishes, just cleaning up for lunch, and I felt some. A cat rubs their body along your calf muscle, and then it turns around and goes the other way.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was, and it was so real. I looked down. I thought for sure it was one of the dogs,
Yeah.
and there was nothing there. It was totally cat.
Yeah, there we go.
I wonder if when you sell this place, if anyone moving in would have the same experiences, because sometimes it's all about who buys the house, right?
But it's true. Well, they
Yeah.
might have the same feelings or sensations, but a lot of people just blow it off. It was the
That's
wind.
true.
I had an itch on my calf. My pant leg moved. It's just,
That's true.
they're just not fully aware.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're talking about our haunted house here and experiences that have happened here.
In Niagara Falls.
So yeah, it's been fairly interesting. And with the restoration work, that stirs things up a little bit.
Look how much information you got from the pendulum the one night when I was asking about stuff.
Yeah.
There's no blueprints to this house. So the archives building burned down a few years after this place was built. So there's nothing, absolutely nothing. Like things have been changed, been added, moved around. Nothing other than the exterior is original to this place. It's all been modified and changed. So I was pretty sure there was doors covered up and other doors taken out and things like that. And Michelle got a pendulum out and grounded it. And then I just asked all the questions and they told me yes, no. And there was exactly right, 100%. It's exactly where the doors were, exactly where the alcoves were. It was incredible.
Mhm.
It was
That
such a
is
cool
so
thing.
cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just
Station
going.
ID and
Yes.
sponsor ID. Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
definitely.
yes.
You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. Tonight we have our bestie here with us, Wayne Mallows, and we're talking about his books, Vampires and Living in a Haunted Manor. Stream or listen to the archives and the platforms that you normally use. A shout out and a thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from day one. We love you and we thank you so much. No one loves you more than Michelle and I, just saying. Shout out and another huge thank you for our intro and outro and lending his voice, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp and find him on Facebook and Instagram. So there we go. Yeah. So Wayne, you're doing renovations now, so that could be the reason why you had that. Yeah.
Not now. Still,
but I mean, the other
years.
day when Michelle and I were talking, you were having a pretty rough time.
Yes.
Because I never hear Wayne swear, and I was just like, oh, Michelle, yeah, something.
I'm just sitting there
must have
going,
happened because I'm just
That's
like,
okay. It's 12 hours of a plumbing wango tango. It's, you know, it's good
that's
times.
what it was.
Do you
Yeah.
want to address this
I'm
question?
surprised you haven't found downstairs. I have.
Yeah, there is backstairs.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
have the
I found
stairs.
there's two sets of stairs, to be honest. The one that's still there and accessible was boarded up, and it was used for a closet when the second floor was an apartment, and so was the first floor. But in the last 2 years, I discovered where the original stairs were, and those were taken out in 1887, 1888 to make room for a washroom. And so they took them all out, expanded the house again, and they put this long set of servant stairs that go up from the back.
Yeah. I remember when we walked upstairs and Michelle showed us all the way at the back, and I looked at her and I said, the servants' quarters? And she's like, yeah. Okay. Because you could feel them walking through there, you know, like up and down. You could feel the busy, right? Like
there's a
when
photo.
there's guests.
Melissa's not in chat tonight, but Melissa, which is one of our team members for Canada's Most Haunted, was standing by that room. We call it the Renaissance room, but it's the old servants' quarters. And there's a photo of her with a little girl holding her hand, a spirit girl.
Oh, we got to get her.
And her hand is pulled out. And
was it Melissa or was it Adriana that walked down the hallway towards that room and stopped where the doorway is and said, I feel like I can't go any further? Because that would have been a window at one time. And then when they expanded the house, they made that into a doorway.
Yeah.
A lot of mediums come through and they stop at that step down because they feel they're going to fall. But that would have been where
the back of the house.
The back
it is.
That was a window.
And then you realize that the stuff's not that much of a drop. It's just that feeling when you're there. Yeah.
No, for sure.
Very beautiful home.
But let's get into cryptids. Now, there's been a lot of stories here of, like last night we touched on wolf people. Let's talk a little bit about that in the area. I want to talk about the Port Robinson beast, but I also want to talk about what you saw that one night that went across the street.
Which do you want to do first? Which one?
You pick.
Oh, come on now. Let's do the one that was out front. Okay, so it's kind of a two-part story. I used to do a lot of my writing and my editing in the summer on the front veranda because it's covered in and it's really peaceful. And I get the breeze from the gorge and stuff. And this one particular night, I'm just reading and I look up and people walk by and then there was nothing for the longest time, just like some fog, normal. And all of a sudden I saw this animal come running down the road, and I say animal because I couldn't really identify it at first. It was huge. It was this bigger than a Great Dane, if you can picture that. And it was shaggy, like really like long, shaggy hair, longer than a coyote, longer than a wolf. It almost, trying to remember what that dog is called. Is it Afghan? Is that right?
Afghans.
Yeah, Afghan. But it was muscular, but it was at the same time skinny. Its face almost looked skeletal.
And
Like it
lean.
was really thin and long, and you could see its teeth as it ran by, and it loped. It ran like a horse galloped. It loped along the road, and it was dead silent. And I watched it go down the road, and I went, yeah, it's a good time to go in. Like, I just couldn't really identify it at all, but it just wigged me right out.
And that's the description that quite a few people throughout Ontario, I have to say, have basically described with extra long limbs, and they lope. It's not like a normal running.
No, it's not like a running.
And some people have even said they've seen these things stop and then go up on their back legs. Yeah. Now the Port Robinson beast. I want
to just finish that story because it's two parts.
So sorry. Yeah.
Back then, a friend of mine was living with me, and he's part Indigenous, so he's very spiritual and
woo-woo.
Like everything's there. And he would go to work very early in the morning, so 5 a.m. that same summer, and he's driving the other way on the street, very foggy. And he said at the end of the street there's a stop sign and there's a light, like a street light. And he says, I saw this guy coming down the street from west to east, so he's going towards the gorge. And as he went under the light, I could see it was a dude. He goes, it was about 5'6", and he was a little portly. And he goes, he crossed the road into the fog, and that when he should have come out on the other side at the curb, it wasn't. It was a dog. It was just this, and he's described this animal, and I go, he's describing it the same thing I saw, the shaggy, skeletal, muscular shoulders looking thing, right? And he was so scared, he put the truck in reverse, and he reversed 2 blocks all the way back to the house, then turned around and went the other way. That was intense.
I'd pee my pants if it was me. That's all I'm saying. I would literally pee my pants.
Now, the legend of the Beast of Port Robinson it goes back to the time when they cut the Welland Canal in, and the Welland Canal went right through Port Robinson. It cut the town in half. Yeah. So many people believe that it cut the migration pattern of these wolves that walk upright in half. They had to go farther out of their way, and that's a pain. Anyway, I happened to meet a woman who, when I was at a book signing, and she was amazed I was from Niagara Falls, and we got chatting about the Beast of Port Robinson, which was where she was from. I'd never even heard of this thing. And she was, oh my God, yeah, I heard of it. And she said, my girlfriend and I went out one night, and there was this haunted house that we used to go to down in Port Robinson. It was just somebody's house that was abandoned, and it was sort of the rite of passage for high school students. You go there and you have to walk up to the second floor and light a candle and come back down. So they went with their car, and they parked there, and they see this kid come bolting out of the house, and they start laughing, going, oh, look, another kid is scared. He didn't make it, right? And then they saw this thing come out of the house, this big wolfy looking thing, but it wasn't chasing him. It just walked out of the house on all fours and looked around, and they were like, yeah, time to go. So they took off, and she said when her girlfriend looked out the side window, they were on a secondary road going through Port Robinson, this thing was running beside the car, like right up against the window, like face, fangs, everything, right? And it hit the window. And she screamed, and her friend took off. She said, I was driving, so I took off. We headed straight for home. She was, I pulled in the driveway, and I ran in and closed the doors and closed all the curtains and shut everything off. And she said, the next morning we went out, you could see claw marks in the paint on the passenger side, big claw marks. She goes, my dad was fuming. How did I get these marks in the car?
Wow.
Yeah. So
I was going to ask you, I wonder, we've never really heard of anyone who's been physically attacked by them, but this is as close as you're going to get.
Probably don't survive. It's like getting, I don't hear
But if they're there with a
surviving
group
from a
of
tiger.
friends, I wonder. Yeah, I know.
There's just so many stories in the area. And look even at the other house where there was that big wolf, which was like,
that was huge.
Like the dire wolf.
Huge. I didn't see it, but I went out to the house afterwards. Michelle said she saw it chase a rabbit.
Oh, this thing was massive, and it ran through the back part of the estate and it was chasing a rabbit. Rabbits is looking for something. It went out to one of the outbuildings, and this bloody thing, it's like it put its brakes on and it spun around, and I'm sitting there washing dishes, and I don't have my phone with me because my hands are wet, and I'm it's a huge picture window, and I know that when even a deer would come back, If I moved even a bit, it would be gone.
Mhm.
So I all I could do was just sit there, and it was winter, like March. All I could do was just stand there and stare at it. And then it
I
looked
remember
back.
that day. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked back at the house, and then it just, because I was surrounded by ravine, and it just bolted down. Then he come over and
Yeah.
went out and measured the paw prints.
That's my hand, and that thing was just bigger than my hand.
Yeah. And
You know,
Wayne's
That's
like
a paw.
7 feet tall, just saying.
Not quite.
He's 7 feet tall, so
But I
he's
couldn't
got
believe
large
it.
hands.
You know, you hear these animals are big. You know,
It was huge.
I looked at the tracks. I couldn't believe how big they were. I didn't have a tape measure or anything with me. So I put my hand in the snow and I took a picture and I pressed my hand into the snow. And
Took measurements.
This wolf, you could see all the way to the grass. You could see the grass underneath it. And when I pushed into the snow with my hand, I couldn't get that far. So this thing was big.
I mean, I grew up north, so I'm used to timber wolves. Timber wolves are huge,
I
but
want one.
they're just tall and they're lanky. You know, they just have
No, I
very,
want a
very
dire
thin,
wolf.
lanky. This thing was full, solid, really like muscular,
Yeah.
and like
I want
this-
one like on Twilight. I want it to turn into a
That'd be
really
a dire
hot looking guy.
that would
Yeah.
be a dire wolf.
And then be the
Yeah.
wolf when I need the protection.
Yeah. All I know is growing up near wolves, I've never seen anything like that. And
No,
I
that
didn't-
was
I didn't know
crazy
about
when
dire
I saw
wolves.
the photo of Wayne's hand next to the print. I'm like,
I
Yeah,
researched
big.
after that.
I thought you were punking me. Seriously. I'm like, yeah, right. No way.
I did research after that because
Yeah.
I didn't even know we had wolves in the area, first off. And I started finding and coming across this dire wolf thing that people were starting to see. And I watched a couple of videos of people who had had sightings. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is pretty similar. So I don't know. It goes to show there's a lot out there. And I think that there's a lot that we just don't, we just miss it.
Yeah,
I came to learn there were a lot of sightings.
There's so much that we don't really know. I mean, our forests, especially in Canada, are vast and thick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at that thing that went
Yeah.
across the road that night.
Oh,
Down on River Road. Oh my God.
oh.
That was intense.
Tell it.
We were coming back from an
From filming.
investigation.
No,
and
we filmed that night.
filming, yeah. And so we were on the road. It was about 9 o'clock, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was dark. It was winter. We're coming along River Road. There's no tourist traffic. It's just dead, quiet, no lights, nothing. And I come over this rise and I start to go down this hill. And this, all the way I could describe it is if you took a clear garbage bag, I mean a big one, and you filled it with air and dragged it across the road at about 16 feet high, really quick. That's what it looked like.
Over a stop sign.
Yeah, it shimmered. It shimmered as it went by, and the height was higher than a speed sign. So there was like 60 kilometers an hour just ahead of us, and it went right over that. So we're both looking at this thing as it went by, and it went by quick, like 3 seconds. And in that 3 seconds, my brain is going, deer. No,
me too. And I'm like, no,
it couldn't be a deer. Owl. No,
we don't have moose out this way.
You know, and it was too high. It was too fast. It was just a system of
nowhere to pick up speed because it was like a sheer drop down to the river.
200-foot drop. There's nothing. And we went by. As we went by, we couldn't even see it in the forest anymore. So we're driving along, and I'm just like, did you see that? And Michelle's like, oh my God, thank God you said that, because I didn't want to be that guy. You know, it was freaky. God. I had no idea. I'd never seen anything like it. And couldn't describe it.
We stopped to go back and look.
Well,
every time we go by it, we look in the forest and we can't see it.
Was it something cloaked?
No. Well, it was iridescent, like shimmery. We actually stopped and we went back to, it wouldn't be much of a research if I didn't do that. So we did go back and to see. There was nothing. We stopped. It went down between two houses. There was nothing.
Maybe
and
it
the
was
houses
something
are far
like
apart.
what?
It's not like a subdivision. And we're talking like these are on 1.5 or 2 acre lots with lots of trees in between. There's nothing.
Nothing. No.
Zach made fun of me. He said I was never Team Edward or Team Jacob. I'm Team Van Helsing. I was never Team Edward or Team Jacob.
No,
I had a daughter who was
Team
a teen when that film came out. And of course I took her to see all 4. That's why. Oh, 5, because they stretched one into 2.
Is it always cold in Canada? No.
Oh
no,
my
actually,
gosh.
It's very hot here
no,
right
it's
now.
very hot here. It's about 80 degrees.
Canada is a land of extremes. We have extreme cold
Yeah.
and
in
extreme
many
hot.
We
many senses
actually-
of the word.
Carol, we can give you a type of some perspective. We actually sit further south than Chicago does, where we are. So we're actually a lot warmer. Chicago has worse winters than we do.
Mhm.
It depends on where you live. And if you live in the West Coast, you get rain, not snow. So yeah, it's not like television. Summer said, how would the ghost respond to someone like
Yes.
myself who have dealt with Fae? Would they ignore me?
No.
I don't think so, because that would be like saying
Not
I
at all.
work with angels, but the demons are going to pass me by. The demons do not pass me by. So
Well, the funny
yeah,
thing
an
is,
entity is an entity.
the funny thing is Margaret was Irish.
That's right. She was.
She gravitates to anybody that's Irish. You come in wearing a
She
Celtic
does.
cross or anything like significant to the Ireland culture,
Mhm.
she'll come right over.
Next time I'm wearing my high school kilt.
We had someone here who was speaking in an Irish accent. They were investigating the house,
Mhm.
and she pretended to be the nanny in an Irish accent. She goes, "I'm on, children. I'm going to read you a book," and all of a sudden, something grabbed her hand. Well, I won't say something. A spirit child grabbed her hand. She was like bolted down the hallway.
Yeah.
and,
They
and
do
her
that.
guy's like, "What are you doing? Get back over here!" It's like,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Tamara's
that's
got a
crazy.
Yeah, we've had all kinds of children experience. We have
You in the
pictures,
shower.
pictures of ghosts in the windows and
Yeah,
things like
that's
that.
true.
I was in the shower. This is probably the first year I was living here, and the door opens to the bedroom. It's like, but only like this much, just sort of somebody peeking through,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, private time, like that,
You know
right?
what?
And
I
the
see
door
that too.
closed.
Yeah.
Closed too.
I say that out loud too. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah, private time.
Like when I walk into this bathroom, you do not approach. Tamara made a good point. Once you see one thing, other stuff pops up. That's true,
agree.
because then you're more open to
Yeah.
seeing it, and
No,
you're more
I
observant
agree.
and aware.
Look at that one time that I moved from this room and I moved the bedroom upstairs to the front bedroom. And I told you the following morning, I woke up in the middle of the night and the bed was like,
Oh my God.
the bed was rocking. I woke up and the whole bed's like, and I'm looking over. I'm over like this, right? It was like, there's other rooms in the house, folks. Like, can we get another room?
They were having relations.
Oh
This is a family
my
show. They were
God.
having relations right beside it.
I'm like,
I
yeah,
wasn't there, but I was there. It was like feeling really out of sorts.
oh, I'd be like, you have 100 other rooms. You need to go somewhere else.
I know.
Wait.
Exactly what I said.
No,
There's other
you
rooms
needed to leave because they were already like.
Oh, I was
Oh,
there.
it
I
was
was there
weird.
first. I got into bed first. They showed up after.
I know.
I
This
have
isn't my
I
room.
have a question for you. I never asked you this, and I don't know why, but it's come up now. Do you know how many owners prior to you for the manor?
Yeah, I do actually. I do know. It was built in 1872, and it stayed in the same family, the Bamfields, until 1969, and they sold it and they moved to Florida.
The year I was
And-
born.
Yep, and the guy that bought it turned it into apartments. He gutted it, basically took everything beautiful out of this house because they were going to make it into apartments. All the bookcases left, the chandeliers, all the beautiful stuff, pocket doors, everything was taken out.
Mm.
It stayed in the rental guy's property until 1990, when the water froze. The person moved out, and the water froze, and the radiators burst. And so they fixed it all up, and then they sold it in 1999. It stayed abandoned for quite a while, from 1992 to about 1999. It was abandoned, and then a guy that I bought it from, David, he bought it, turned it into a bed and breakfast, and then I bought it from him. So
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Zachman says, I had a similar experience. I was on the toilet. I didn't need the visual, like the visualization.
Yeah.
In my head,
Thanks, Zach.
thanks. Just
Yeah.
in the bathroom would have been enough. And a shadow figure in my mirror attempting to hide. I got so angry and told it to get out. If it works for you.
we've had people stay here that they wash their face and they look up in the mirror and there's an old man standing behind them across the room. It's not like they're right behind them, but they see him over in the corner. That was the middle bedroom that we called Weezer.
Yeah,
Remember?
I actually caught him on a recording, and it sounded like, first off, that he was trying to play with the recorder.
Yeah, it was good.
And then he had, what did he
Oh,
say?
yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
But in
She's
a
saying
really
you
bad
can,
voice.
you can talk into this and I'll hear you. And you hear this guy go, "It's so cold."
I know.
And you hear, like, I would call him Weezer because I'd be typing upstairs and working, and you hear him come out of the room go,
Wheezing.
yeah, it was bad.
One time he ends up down here.
Oh, yeah, because he comes into the room wheezing, and I'm typing, and I look up, and I can't see him, obviously. I just hear him breathing. I'm like, "Weezer, what are you doing down here? Is everything all right?" You know? And then
It
he
would
just-
startle
he just-
me, but
he
I
just
wouldn't be
left.
afraid.
He had a heart
Yeah.
condition. Yeah, he
Yeah.
had a heart
Yeah.
condition. We found out afterwards he had a heart condition.
Usually that's what it is.
Yeah.
Or they're like elderly, and they were not well,
Yeah.
and on their deathbed they wheeze, right?
Yeah.
When
Many
when
people in
anyone's on their deathbed, you're wheezing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
many people who stayed in that room early days would say they smelt like vomit. A lot of it, you
Mhm.
know. And I would go and clean the rooms and clean the rooms. I always had that. I never smelt anything, you
Mhm.
know. But people who are sensitive, I guess, could smell, you know, sickness. Then he probably, you know,
Yeah.
that's where he
Mhm.
probably passed,
See,
right?
For those of you listening, if you're looking to have an experience with a spirit and you have family in an old age home, retirement home, nursing home, I'm
Mm.
telling you right now, loaded. Doesn't matter what place you go to, it's
Yeah.
loaded. You
Mhm.
will often, when my late father, I used to go visit him, and Michelle and I would have to clear certain areas because I'm like, okay, so and so passed away a couple weeks ago, and I'm seeing them like still walking up and down the hallway, or I'm getting because they all knew me because I was the consistent, the one that was always there.
Right.
And there's some, but don't go in there doing EVPs, people, please. You know, have some respect for these people.
That would just be
But
low class.
If you're,
Don't do that.
yeah, but if you're
Right.
who
Right.
has family there, or you're visiting someone, pay
Mhm.
attention because you might be able to help them ascend. You know,
Right.
because a lot of them are still in their same routine, going up and
Yes.
down with their walkers and looking for lunch. And
It's true.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you something. When my mom was in
Oh, that's a good story.
the final stages of her life, and she was in a hospital room,
Yeah.
I said to Michelle several times, I wish I had the mind to actually record what was going on, because she had a foot in both worlds, guaranteed. The stuff that would come out of her mouth and the things that she would say were just mind-blowing.
Mhm.
Stuff that she has no idea about, no clue about any of that sort of paranormal stuff, nothing.
Mhm.
And she would talk about it like she was old hat at it. It was freaky. And one night when I was there, I thought she'd breathed her last because they called me and said, "You better come. It's going to be the end of the night." I'm like, "Okay." So I go racing over there. It was 2 or 3 in the morning. And I held her hand. She said, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. I said, "It's fine." And she did that whole,
The death rattle. Yeah.
and then there was just nothing.
Yeah.
And her hand went really limp. And I'm like, And she goes, "Well, I don't know who died that night, me or her, but like, holy man." But I'll tell you, when she came back, she's a completely different person. My mom, you know, love her to death, but she was harsh. Like, she was harsh. She grew up in the war, grew up in the Depression. She was tough as nails and wouldn't share, hated everything. You know, when she came back from that and she recovered, nicest person you'd ever meet. She would share her candies and her fruit with everybody in the room. Oh man, it's crazy.
Maybe something told her you need to go back and make amends, because
I'm sure she got to the train station because she always talked about
and they're
being at
like,
the train station.
get back there and take care of your family. Yeah, I know the rattle breath because my dad had that.
Yeah, she always talked about the train station. Always, you know, she would be like, "I'm never going on this carrier again." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, my baggage is all still here, and I'm still on the platform waiting, and this room is fine, but I want to get going, and they won't let me go, and I have to wait."
That's
always
funny.
Talking about being at the train station. Always.
Yeah.
My mom was there when my grandfather took his last breath. She had taken care of him this last 2 weeks of his life. She flew to Italy, and she said something interesting. She said she was talking to him, and she goes, "So who do you see?" And I believe firmly everybody who's passing has one foot in the door and one foot out, and sometimes it's months. Not necessarily. My grandfather had a fall like my dad, and then, you know, shortly after that passed because of a brain bleed. So he told her who was there, and he's naming everybody, but he's not naming my grandmother. And my mother thought it was funny. She thought, "Oh, you know what, Dad, you know what it is? She goes, "You got married again. She's probably so upset with you," because they would joke that way, that she's not going to take you over. They never thought anything about that again until, if you can see my grandmother's doll, that doll has been with me since before he passed away. My grandfather brought it to me. He gave it to me. He brought it on his last visit, and she was with the doll and with me. That's why she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So, because my mom would do her nightly prayers with all the people who've passed. She had all those pictures. She was very devout Catholic, and she would do her prayers, and she would ask her mother to watch over me. I'm like, well, hello, Ma.
Yeah.
Can you have a talk with your mother? It was like one of those phone calls, because it was very disruptive, until we found a way to coexist. But
it was like
I
my
found
dad
it.
though too. Like when my dad passed, when he was in the home when he was close to the end, and I would sit with him, he would see all his buddies from the Navy, and he would name them off.
Yeah.
Like he'd point at the end of the bed and go, like, that's Paul. I see Paul standing there, and I'm like, that's okay. Was Paul supposed to be here? I'm like, hey, he's come to say hi, I guess. I said, okay, as long as he's supposed to be here, I guess.
Yeah.
All his guys all his friends from the Navy on that ship he was on, they were all there.
My mom was talking to my grandfather like you spoke with your family, She was doing that. My dad was non-communicative when he was passing, but he also didn't have a voice before that. He couldn't speak. But fortunately, I could see everything that was there, which made it a lot easier for my brothers. It made it easier for my brothers because I could tell them what was going on. But anyways.
We are nearing the end of the show, though, already. So why don't you tell everybody?
You can't. The only way you can get the books is through me. You can email me at my email, which is wayne.mallows@hotmail.com. And I will mail you out a book. Right? And I don't have them on Amazon anymore. I was having some problems with them. The website, you can get them from me there. It's just my name. It's www.waynemallows.com.
On the last page.
And if you message me directly and let me know what you want, I'll figure out the price and I'll send it off to you.
There we go.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you. It was great seeing your face.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was much easier. You could take this chair back with you.
I gotta stand up first. Give me a second.
Okay.
The tallest person I know. I can be in 6-inch heels, go to hug him, and I'm still in his I'm still in his armpit because I'm 5'3". But even with the heels at 5'9", which is Michelle's height, I'm still in his armpit. I'm almost in her armpit because she wears heels too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. We're gonna put this last one up.
Really?
Okay. Last one.
All right, you're okay. Please describe your main. Oh wow.
That's a long one.
we might need a conversation. Mark J. Cox writes, FYI, no such thing as spirit. Thoughts occupy space, and the will of the thoughts is what you see as spirit. Please understand you are not conscious. You are not conscious twice. Okay. Everything that is began. Please describe the moment you gain consciousness. You can't because you haven't consciously measured the moment you took your first breath. By making your 0 birthday card, when you change your beginning, you change your end. Well, God bless you, Mark.
That's definitely, you know what? There's a lot of different perspectives with that. And we respect them all, absolutely. Of course, like I said, we're at the end of another segment, and it was nice. It was laid back. It was a nice little surprise, Wayne coming on, and everybody always hears my stories about the house, but I thought it would be kind of nice to hear his stories because he's been having them for a lot longer. Never a dull moment in the house. That's for sure.
He's really good at telling stories. You got to buy his book.
He's really good at telling stories. He's a very good orator. Absolutely. But want to put out a big thank you to Folgers Coffee, as always, for sponsoring our show. We just appreciate you so very much, and thank you for standing by us. Another huge thank you to Dr. Snick, Justin Snicker, also for your sponsorship of our intro and our outro. So thank you. Remember to stop by all of our YouTube channels: International Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, The Outer Realm. If you like what you see, subscribe, please. It only takes a second, and we really appreciate you for doing it. If you want to communicate with us, if you have a guest you'd like to see on the show or a topic you'd like to see addressed, then catch us on the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com, the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at the Outer Realm. Give us a follow. Next week, we welcome the return of Leslie Mitchell Clark, who's a heck of a lot of fun. She's going to be discussing contactee and abductee hypnosis Thursday night, and I can never get his name right. We welcome back Dr.
Terje.
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 Terje. Sounds like
Ter.
Vikingish.
Yeah.
Simonson. And he's going to be
Iceland.
picking up where he left off on our last segment. But I think he's also going to touch, I think we talked on the occult and stuff last time, and he's going to talk a little bit about ancient aliens. And he's still waiting for the full roster to come in, but it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we had a great time with him. So
Iceland.
I agree with this but just before we kick off, he may have seen a skinwalker. It does sound like that.
That's
actually.
good, Summer.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Tara.
Yes. So thank you, all of you, for tuning in. We really, really appreciate you guys. You make it that much more fun, and we love to interact with you all. And have yourselves a great weekend. Everybody behave yourselves, and we'll see you next week. Good night.